Masechta Horayos, we're up to Daf Yud Gimel, the end of the Masechta, but we're starting from Yud Beis Amud Beis. I don't know if we'll be able to have a chance to finish everything, but as much as we could, we'll fill it up over here. Okay. Zak the Gemara, Zak the Mishnah. Kohen Gadol.
There are two Mishnahs here.
Yeah, we're starting the Mishnah before. Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol is not forbidden to tear over a mace, only if he tears his begadim like the derech avelim dil. And what's the derech of the avelim? That they rip from the top. They give a rip on the top. But the Kohen Gadol is payim lamata. He can rip from the bottom. And the Gemara will explain what does top and what does bottom mean. V'hedjet milamayla. Regular Kohen, it could do avelis, could tear his begadim, so he tears it the normal way, milamayla. From lamayla just a little bit, but he has to cut it into two. Kohen Gadol makiv oinem. Kohen Gadol is makiv hakarbon on the day of his primary relative died. That same day that he died, he is still makiv hakarbon. Abba v'lo yochel. He cannot eat from the carbon.
What type of carbon is he making?
Whatever the Kohen Gadol has to be makiv there.
Every day, because we make chavitin every day.
There's chavitin, and there's he means chavitin can also mean the oilus tamid, the babek and the ba'erev. Chatzim, half in the morning, half in the morning, in the afternoon. Well, he doesn't eat the kachim. A hedjait, of which is he has a primary relative that died that day. He doesn't. He's not makiv, nor does he eat any kachim. Versus the Kohen Gadol is makiv, but he doesn't eat. Rav said this that we learned. The Kohen Gadol rips his beged milamata from the bottom. The kavanah is lamata manish. It means right on the bottom of the shirt. He rips it. Which is not the normal way. And milamayla mamish. Milamayla means he rips mamish where the hem is on the top. He gives a rip from the Kohen hedget, because that's the normal way. Shmuel Amar, no, the whole shot, lamata is all on the top. It's either you rip under the hem or you rip with the hem. Ripping with the hem, the Torah says it has to be. You see on the on the hem of your shirt, there's a double. It's a hem. It's a.
You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to cut it the whole year. No,
you're not allowed to. But if it's kriya, that's where you do kriya. It should be two pieces. That's where it constitutes two pieces. Because as long as the top is connected and you made a little hole, that's not called two pieces. It's not called kriya. That's what he's saying. Shmuel Amar lamata. Lamata becoming suffer. It means under the hem. So under the hem is not the normal way, and I can't go to do it. Lamayla becoming suffer. Ulamayla means, but the kind hedget, he rips from the hem down. So that's already considered as two pieces. The zeb is zeb, it's hava. Both the lamayla and lamata is still on the top by the neck, by the opening of the neck. I don't know if that's how Shmuel learns. We physics that we have to make two pieces. You have to start from mamish from a hem, from anywhere, from the shirt. It has to be from here. It cannot be here and you give a little rip. It has to be ripped from here. That it should be two pieces. Okay, it says on all the regular mason, not your father, mother, relatives. Ratza mavdil. If he wants, he could separate two pieces. Kami shalai from the hem and down. Ratza mavdil kami shalai. If he wants, he doesn't have to do from the hem. He can do under the hem if it's not a primary relative. I love it, alimai. But if it's on a primary relative like his father or mother, mavdil, he has to cut the hem. So what do we see? Keeping the alma by everyone else, not regular mason, but that are not primary. Havi kera. We said even if he rips, if he wants, he can rip under the hem, and we consider it as a kriya for the other people. So over here we're calling it. I'm sorry. So by the Kohen Gadol, we said the Gadol lo yifraim, that by a Kohen Gadol he's not allowed to do kriya, and you said he's allowed to do kriya if it's under the hem. But if under the hem is called kriya, legabe kol ha-mason, so how could a Kohen Gadol do such a kriya if it's called kriya? Aber the Gemara Shmuel Rabbi Yehuda Svidalei. Shmuel holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Yama kol keresh einim avdol safa shalei eina el keresh al tiflis. It's a rip without any reasoning. It's nothing. He's not ripped. It's not considered as a rip. Why? Because they learned the pshat in the pasuk that it has to be two pieces, and the only time when it says shnayim kroyim, it says it has to be the two pieces when you rip. When you're ripping under the hem, it's still the beggar is full. It's just you have a hole in the beggar. You don't call it two pieces, and therefore, if you take from here and you rip, then it's two pieces. If you make over here a rip, that's a hole. It's a rip, but it's not called ripping two pieces. Kriya means from anywhere from the hem and down. This is a hem. This is a hem.
This is all sofa. I thought the sofa is where the collar is, no?
Where the collar is, that's normally, yes.
Yeah, but you're saying a sofa also means where
No, I'm saying people tear over here, but it's still two pieces because it's from the tip of the beggar and down. But if the whole line of the bezin is in full, and you have just a loch, that's called a loch. It's not two kriyas. That's what Shmuel says. You're saying that the kohen gadol could do it because under the hem is not considered as a kriya of two pieces. But where do you see even the concept? He's not allowed to even make a hole of a kriya b'chalal. Well, Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, if the by kohen gadol would have said his head he shouldn't let grow, the hair on his head, and the beggar he shouldn't rip. I would have said it's not referring to a kohen gadol; it's referring to a seita. That by a seita you have to, before she drinks the water, or if you undo her hair and you rip her beggar till the dadim show. So we would have thought that's what it's referring to, that the kohen gadol shouldn't do that. That's why the pasuk doesn't say roish; it says roishoy zayin cup. The kohen gadol's head himself, he should not let the hair grow, and begadov his own begadim he shouldn't rip. That he's not allowed to have any rip whatsoever. So how can you say Rabbi Yehuda holds you're allowed to rip under the rim? What do you mean you're allowed to? You're not allowed to rip at all. Shmuel says, he just doesn't rip like the regular way. He has to do it different. He does it milamata, and the normal people do it from the lamaila, or under the rim. He does it under the rim, under the hem, and he does it on the top. So he says, Shmuel said, but you're right. Really, Rabbi Yehuda holds you're not allowed to have any rips whatsoever. But Shmuel holds like Rabbi Yehuda, not in everything. Shmuel said like Rabbi Yehuda bechada. He holds that he holds like Rabbi Yehuda that if you rip under the hem, so this is called a kriya shatiflus. It's called Allah. It's called a kriya without any reasoning. But he argues that according to Rabbi Yehuda, who says you're not allowed to do any rip whatsoever, he argues, he says you're allowed to do rip. Shmuel, so he says Shmuel, no, Poidem Milamata, a hedged is Milamayla. So this is Shmuel. Shmuel holds like Rabbi Yehuda that the kohen gadol can do Milamata under the hem, and it's not considered as a kriya.
So why is it altogether?
Because it's a symbol, but it's not.
It's not a kriya.
It's just a symbol. It's not a kriya. You don't call it kriya. It's a kriya shel tiflus. Kriya shel tiflus means without a reasoning. It's halach.
But it doesn't say that in the Mishnah. So he comes over in the Gemara and says that
He says the Mishnah says he should do it.
God will
He's allowed to do it. A kohen gadol could do milamata under the hem, and Rabbi Yehuda says under the hem is not considered two pieces. So he's allowed to do it. It's not the real derech of doing it.
So just a symbol.
But Rabbi Yehuda himself, he doesn't hold completely like Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda says no rips whatsoever. He learns out from the pasuk roishoi, and it says godov, not b'negeta soita. It says his own begadim shouldn't rip whatsoever. So he says I disagree with that. I say
Who says that?
Shmuel. Shmuel says I hold like Rabbi Yehuda under the hem when he rips is not a rip. But I do hold that he does rip as a symbol. He can rip, and he wants to mourn. So it's not 2 pieces, but he makes a loch. That's it. Anything that's tadir over something that's not as tadir. You ever hear of the saying tadir v'sheina tadir kaidem? This is it. This is the Mishnah. Something that's more steady. Versus if you have 2 mitzvahs and one mitzvah is more steady than the other, then we do the one that's more steady. You want a case, so he gives you. Let's see.
I'm saying, so what's over here?
No, he's saying 2 kabbanis. One kabban is more tadir, like the kabban matamid that's sacrificed every day, comes before the kabbanis musafim. Kabbanis musafim is not the whole time. Any kabban that's more holier than the other one, then he does the one that's holier. Par HaMashiach or Par HaEda. If you have the Par Kohen HaMashiach and the Par HaEda, so he says, and Oimdim Par HaMashiach Kohen L'Chol HaEda B'Chol Masav. The Par HaMashiach comes first, before the Tzibur. Why before the Tzibur? I'll give you a balabat shesvara. When you come on the plane and the mask falls down, what do they tell you on the plane? Put it on yourself, the father first. Why? Simple. Because if you put it on the child first and the father faints, the child is not going to be able to help you. He's a little baby. But if you put it on and the child faints, you'll be able to take care of him. So therefore, who's forgiving? Who's the leader over here? The Kohen. So the Kohen's power should be brought first.
That's what it says, or this is already?
No, this he's going to say it later.
Why is the Kohen called Mashiach over here?
Par HaMashiach means the anointed one. The Kohen Gadol was Mechapa HaKol Yisrael.
Yeah.
So he brings his covering first before he brings the Klal
It's a
Yisrael.
puzzle. Keeper Badoi or
Well,
Badoi
that's very good. Soon, you're jumping. Thank you. Yeah,
It's a puzzle.
we're going to get to it. That's the Mishnah. We're going to get to the reasoning. How do we know that first of all Tadir was Sheina Tadir? That Tadir comes first. It says in the pasuk, "Lovad oilas habeika asher oilas hatamid." Anyway, so it says a chutz from oilas beiker, which is for oilas tamid. Let me look. It says already in the pasuk oilas habeika. Which is the oilas habeika? Of course, it's the oilas hatamid.
Same thing.
So what do I need the words oilas hatamid? So he says, this is what the pasuk is saying. Kol mitzvah tida kadma. He says, why oilas habeika? Because asher, because oilas hatamid, because it's hatamid. Something that's tadir comes first. Anything that's more sanctified, more holier, that comes first. Where do we know this from? So you want to tell Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Yishmael in the Yeshiva of Rabbi Yishmael they learned the Kiddush toy. It's going on him. Or others say kes lachma lekecha u'marke kodesh yilach. So here we see that the kohen has to deal with his first. L'chol davar shebekidusha. He comes. He has to go first. L'mashal leftayach rishon. When it comes to aliyah, who gets it first? Kohen. Kohen. Ulevarich rishon. When it comes to birchas hamazon, who do we offer first? The kohen. When it comes to dividing a portion, they divide it equally. The kohen gets it first. So the swat is also the mitzvah is we're going to be magdim the mitzvah which is more mekudesh than the others. Okay, par kohen par eida. It says you have par kohen HaMashiach and the par eida. Here we're coming to your swat. But now, from where do we know that the par kohen HaMashiach comes first? So the Gemara, the Tanna Rabbanan, we learned in the Braisa. It says in the end of Par Helam Dav Shel Tzibur. What does it say? V'saraf oisai kasher saraf is apar rishon. You burn it like you burn the first par, meaning the par kohen HaMashiach. You burn like the par Shel Tzibur. What do I mean? What? It says in the Braisa at the end of the Pasha by Par Helam Dav Shel Tzibur. It says v'saraf oisai. That's the Par Kohen HaMashiach. Okay? We did Sibu, you burn like the Par Kohen HaMashiach.
Afterwards.
Right. So he says, what does he come to teach us this pasuk? It already says, for the Tzibur, you should do like the Par Akatas of the Kohen HaMashiach. We already had that. So we have to say, this extra pasuk is come to teach us Harishain. Which is the Rishain? the par sheyeh par koyin HaMashiach rishon.
Before parade.
Before parade, the koyin parade b'chol masav. To tell you that the parade you burn like the par Mashiach. Well, which one is the first one? The par Mashiach. Tanya Rabbanan brings an additional brisa to explain this reasoning. It says par koyin HaMashiach parade. They're both. You have a choice to be marked with two. Which one goes first? Par koyin HaMashiach koyin parade b'chol masav. The par koyin HaMashiach comes first. Hoyel Mashiach, since the Kohen Mashiach is the one that's being mechaper through his Aveda, all of Klal Yisrael, Va'eda Miskaperes, and then Klal Yisrael gets forgiven. Dinu Sheyakdim HaMechaper LeMiskaper. It makes more sense. The one that is being mechaper. That's the mashal I gave you. That's what. So he has to go first. But first but he's not yet ready. He has to be ready to be mechaper. He has to first bring the power for himself.
I'm saying it's one in a second korban.
No, one is for himself.
But he is mechaper for himself and everybody
No,
else.
that's a separate part.
The Ada gets
He has to bring a sorry for himself. He has to bring for himself first, and then for the Ada.
It says Hoyel Mashiach Mechapa Be'eda Miskaperes.
Al Yodai. So first he has to be the Yakdim HaMechaper. The first, the Mechaper, meaning the one that's being Mechaper, everybody has to bring his carbon.
Yeah.
So then once he brings his carbon, he's now ready to be Miskaper for the Yidden. He already took care of his own sins. And now he's ready to be Miskaper for the Yidden sins.
So it's a question, why does the Ada, the Tzibra, have to bring also a part of Helen Dava? If the Kohen already did that.
This is the Manama says that he brings, and they have to bring themselves also. They both have to bring.
Why? Why duplication?
That's what we learned before. So, that was the machlekes. Not everybody holds that, but the halacha is that they both bring. And here comes your pasuk. So you see, first the Kohen Gadol is mechaper ba'adoi. Adoi means for his own sins, and then he's mechaper for Beisai, which is the Kahanim, his brethren. And then Klal Yisrael. Okay. The Tzibur on other Averos, which are Chayiv Karis, comes before the par that the Tzibur brings for Helam Dava of Avetz Yechab. In fact, you want to my time and why? It says you want to hide this carbon, par Helam Dava Shel Shar Averos Chatas is considered as a Chatas. The high and the par of Avetz Yechab is a Eila. And we know that the Tanya we learned in the Braisa about Chatas always comes before Oila. Where do we see that? The pasuk writes, "When they get to Karban Oila v'Yodet," it says, "In the Chatas and the Oila of Ani, the Hikev es Asher laChatas Rishona." It says, which one comes first? The Chatas. Ma Tamalei. What does he come to teach us? Even the Lamshtei Chatas Kevel Rishona and Ekvanema already says that the Chatas is sacrificed first. Ves Hasheni Yasa Oila Kamishbat. And the second one you should do as a oila. So what's v'hikavas asher lachatzas Rishona coming to teach us? Elazeh bonaav. This is the binyan av for all over. Sheyehei kol chatois koidmis loilas haboyim himayim. That a chatas should be sacrificed before any oilas that come with that chatas. The kaimelon, and it's a klal, and it's accepted. Now you would think, which one is more chashav, a oif or a behema? Which one costs more, oif or bird or behema? Behema. Nevertheless, if the oif is a chatas, it's going to come before the oila, even though it's a behema.
The Chatas Oif, at least the Kohen has something to eat from it.
That's not the reason, but I'm just saying, even though it's more money, it's more chashav,
When do
nevertheless.
you determine if it's a knife or a behemoth? How does that work?
When do you turn by if he can't afford it, he brings a oif. Then there's a chatas kavod that you can't help it. You got to bring if it's a chatas that is fixed. That there's some kabbanis there's no oil yeded. You got to bring that fixed chatas.
No matter if you pour.
No matter no difference. You're right.
We only had the three things that they had the oil of the oil.
Right. Okay.
So why can't you bring a grain, bread?
A mincha you could. That's only when it's kabbalah yeded. Otherwise, which is only in three places we had in the Mishnah before. So the Gemara, the Bryce explains, par avitzis yechavim kodim l'seir avitzis yechavim. A part that the tzibur brings for a shoygig and avitzis yechavim comes before the sarir of avitzis yechavim. Says the Gemara Hamai. Why would the par come before the Sayer? Hai chatos. The come meaning the Sayer is the chatos, right? And the par is the oila. The high and the par is the oila. And we learned chatos comes before oila. And here we just said which one comes first? The par, which is the oila, comes before the Sayer, which is the chatos. Why? After the Gemara, they said nice to someone Shmei the Rabbi Hamari, Chatas Havitz Yechavim, the Chseira Aleph. If you look in the Torah, the way they wrote Chatas there, it's missing Aleph. It says the Si Izim Echad and Lechatas. Look, you see the Chatas is written without an Aleph.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ksiv. It's written without a vav, so since it's written without a vav, is to tell you that here it's going to be the reverse, that the oila is going to come before the chatas. Rav Amar, he says,
that's why it's missing the aleph.
yeah, it's a limud. It's a limud. When there's a chsar, it says the chsar. There's a reason why there's a chsar to reverse it, even though normally the chatas comes before the oila. Over here will be the reverse. Rav Amar. Before the chatas. Rav Amar kamish b'tzibei. It says by the Avitzki Chacham. It says kamishpat. So kamishpat means you follow the order of the pasuk. What's the order of the pasuk? They first wrote the par of the oila in the pasuk, and then they write usi izim echad lechatas. So kamishpat, since the Torah wrote kamishpat, to tell you follow the order the way it's written in the pasuk, where the oila came before the chatas.
Why can't you say it's because which is
The soy is the oila.
Yeah, but the sorry is a.
I'm sorry, the soy is the chatas. I'm sorry, the soy is the chatas.
But what is the sorry?
A goat. Yeah.
A goat.
Yeah. So you want to see Avin Zicham Mabatzibur Kaidum L'Siyah Nasi. The Siyah of Avin Zicham, which the Tzibur had sinned, that soyer comes before the soyer of the king. So you want to my time up. What's the reason? So you want to hide the carbon of Siyah Avin Zicham is a Tzibur. The carbon of a Tzibur, but high Yachid. Here we're talking about a melech bringing a soyer. So which one should come? A Tzibur comes before a Yachid.
What do we say that?
No, that's not lacha. That's the reason.
Yeah,
That why Seir Avitzki Chacham, which is Tzibur, comes before Seir of a Nasi.
So in other words, the oil comes before the.
No, it's not oil. Nothing to do with that. They're both chatas. Zak you want to Seir Nasi, Kedem Siris Yachid. Seir Nasi comes before Siris Yachid. My time, huh?
Yeah.
Hai Shom Melech.
My melech, the high hedged.
The Hai Hedjit. So who comes first? The Melech is supersedes Hedjit.
Yeah.
Since chatas Yachid, Kedem Lekivsas Yachid. A seer comes before, but Yachid comes before a keves. In fact, one of Hatanya kivsas Yachid, Kedemus Lesiris Yachid, that the keves of a Yachid comes before the seera, and here you're saying the reverse.
Wait. But here's Yachid.
Right. But you said, the statement was the seer, the goat of a Yachid, goes before the shepsela of a Yachid. She-goat. Comes before the shepsela, which the chatas, both chatas of a yachid. So, but we said we learned. No, that's not she-goat. The kevis is a shepsela. Yeah, but it's a sheep, not a goat.
A female sheep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shepsela. Yeah. So he's asking, but we learned the reverse, that the shepsela comes before the goat. It's a machlekes. The first brisa that says the sorry comes before the kivsa over the sida adifa. He says sorry is more chashush. He says since we find by seida that a yachid is miskaper also on the shaykhah of avodah zarah, right? The sorry is so powerful that it can forgive even on avodah zarah. That's why it comes first. Because Avodah Zarah is such a severe Avodah. Oh, Bichlal, even Avodah Zarah, sorry. If it's a king, it's a he-goat, but if it's a regular person, it's Se'ira. So it's so powerful that it can forgive even an Avodah Zarah. Okay? But a kivsa is only by other Avedas. Ma'asav a kivsa adifa. And the second Raisa says, no, kivsa is more cheshiv. She gave the an apsa b'hakravs aliyah. Because that one, by the kibson, not only mak the behemoth, also the tail. The tail is very fatty, so it's a chashuv, more chashuv because you will mak it together with the olive. Therefore, it has more. It's more chashuv
So
than the
that's what you do
cedar.
it later?
That's why you do the
Do it
kibsa
earlier.
first. So you have two prices. One says cedar is first because he even forgives on Avin Zara,
So
which
it's
kibsa
an
does.
argument. I mean,
Argument, correct. We just said argument. That's what it is. Tanoim.
So what happens? How do you pass it?
We don't pass him. We say machlekes. It's the best way. We don't have to prove anybody wrong. Everybody's right. Du bist gedacht, er ist
No,
gedacht.
but I'm
Du bist
saying,
nicht right.
no,
Yeah.
but what do they do to Beis Hamikdash?
I don't know. I have to look it up. Come, I was just joking. Come mincha ima, kinu makeves haba imay. The come mincha ima, the ima itself comes before the chefs. Or shtei halachim kinu makvasim comes before the chef's lach.
Yeah.
Zah klal davar ba begin leyoim. What is being brought because of the day? The mincha ima or the shtei halachim is of shvuis. That's the main thing. The carbon is like a sidekick. So he says, "Koidem l'dava haba begin lachem." Let's take the oima. The oima is the main thing that you bring for the day, and the keves is a sidekick that comes because of the oima. You bring it together with the oima, so look more chashuv. Or the same thing, shtei lachem is the ikar, and the kvasim you bring because of shtei lachem. So first you bring for the yoim, and then you bring the sidekick. Zak the Mishnah, ish kaidem leisha. If you see two people are drowning, who should you save? The man. Don't say it to your wife. But the woman. No, the man. So now don't say it to the woman because I'll kill you. Here it says, "Shekena ish mechuy b'chol hamitzvili ish mechayev zak mitzasim." That's why lahachayos, to save them. Okay, Zak Yimada.
You have to do an operation.
It's Ainya lahachayos. It says, but Fred Rashi says it's a choice l'chaim olamavis. It says choice of chaim olamavis. You have to save the man first.
Let your wife die.
Who said
No,
who's
it's
speaking about
something
his
you can
wife?
make. You can get both.
Yeah, you gotta get back with library.
You have to, if you really want, you can say both. There's a story that they had on the thing that the guy went first for his father, and then he grabbed his wife. But even though he thought he wouldn't make it, but he couldn't fish a keiches. If he really loves his wife, he was able to save her too. Lahasha Aveda.
This was a good chance to get rid of it.
Lahasha Aveda. We return lost object. Va'isha kedem as that's also the man comes before the woman. Va'isha kedem leish lechases. But when it comes to begadim, who has more pain and more busha? A woman. So the begadim you have to give to the woman first. Ulahitzim beis hashavi, and to take out of being captured, so she might be raped. So that's why you take her, you redeem her first. But if it's a zachachever like that they live with men and women equally, then a man comes before the woman, because the way they do it to the man is not the normal way. Aisha is the normal way, so it's more, how do you say, more hurting and more psychologically. Everything is worse when it has to do with a man versus a
What
woman.
was the touch from Kalkolo?
Kalkala means that there's such people that they don't live with only women; they rape men as well
They're not
equally.
particular.
They don't discriminate.
So you have to save it. So you have to save a man first. Was it-
Yeah, because the man is hurt more because it's not normal versus the woman. Okay, Zakti Maratana Abarim Habarim Gilan. Haya who of Rabbi Bishvi. If he himself and his father and his teacher were Bishvi, who can Rabbi? He comes before everybody. But Rabbi the teacher comes before the father. That's only if you don't pay tuition.
Why does he come first?
But if you pay tuition,
Yeah,
the father
okay,
comes
but
first.
why shouldn't he first?
No, but if you pay tuition, then your father comes first. That's what the Rambam says. I mean, it depends how much you pay. If you pay $5, then it's not tuition.
What's that?
I'm talking about if you pay.
Rabbi came up with I keep with that.
Because Rabbi Koime, he's teaching you. He didn't get paid. He's like a father, and he's teaching you. But if he, he's as if he gave birth to him. But we're talking about the Rambam says if you pay tuition, no, your father comes first. If you pay tuition,
But otherwise, nobody gets paid.
If your father pays it, who pays it?
it doesn't have to be the father. If tuition was paid, then the father comes first.
So what's that to do with tuition? Or should we just speak about
A teacher. And the
father
teacher,
was in jail.
you only have to save the teacher before the father if the teacher is not being paid tuition for teaching him.
Yeah.
But if he's being paid,
Yeah.
the Rama says no. The father comes first.
If he's being paid anyway.
Right. Okay. So the mother the mother comes before everybody. So the mother to Shvi, to redeeming, even before he himself,
Redemptive process.
A Chacham comes before a king. Chacham, why? Chacham shemeis ein lanu kayitzbei. If we lose a wise Talmud Chacham, we can't replace him. Melch Yisrael shemeis kol Yisrael roli malchus. All you know roli malchus. So that's not a big deal.
Everyone's a king, yeah.
You have Trump.
It's only ceremonial.
Melech and Kohen Gadol. A melech comes before a Kohen Gadol. So remember, vayena melech aleim lahem chuim machem es avnei adonechem. David HaMelech was mitzavet to Tzaddik HaKohen, who was the Kohen Gadol, and Nasan, who was the Navi, and B'nayohu ben Yehoyada, who was then the general, to take with them. They should take Shlomo and anoint him because Adoniyahu wanted to take over the Malucha. So they had to right away anoint him that everybody should follow Shlomo and not Adoniyahu. So you see, who came first? The king says first to the Kohen, so the king's before the Kohen. Kohen Gadol Kohen Navi. Who did he say first? Who should anoint him? The Tzaddik HaKohen. Then it says Naslan Navi. Hikdim Tzaddik LaNaslan Navi. So you see, the Kohen comes before Navi. And the Gemara brings an additional plus thing that a Kohen Gadol comes before Navi. It says Shema Noyo Yeshua HaKohen. Kohen Gadol, yes, Yeshua was the Kohen Gadol. Atam and Yachav. Who are you and your friends? What does that mean? Yachal, I would have thought that Yatis, Pashna people are you. Tamalema comes to Pasing and tells, no, they were people of who can do wonders. The Ein Kari Ish Meifes al Navi. Who's the person that does Meifsim? A Navi.
So the Reacha is Navi?
Yes, Atve Reacha. So you see, the Kohen Gadol first, and then the Navi. That's how you know Isai Meifes is going on Navi. So you want one, a Kohen Gadol who is anointed with the special oils, with the special oil of Moshe Rabbeinu. So that supersedes the later Kahanim who didn't have the Meshicha, the anointment of oil. The only way you could tell the difference between him and a Kohen Hedjit was the Merubah Begadim. He wore 8, and the Kohen Hedjit wore 4. Merubah Begadim Kohen Mashiach Shav and Machmas Kiryah. There was somebody who's Merubah Begadim, comes before a Kohen that was anointed. If the Kohen that was anointed cannot serve because he had a keri, he had Tuma or Saras, okay? Mashiach Sha'avar Machmas Kiryah. Kohen Avar Machmas Mumei. A Mashiach that was removed from the position because of Tumah comes before a Mashiach that was removed because of a Mum. A Mashiach that was removed because of a Mum, he doesn't ever come back, or it takes a long time. You have to see if the Mum will go away. But as long as he has the Mum, he's not going to be a Kohen Gadol. But a carries that night, the Tumah goes away. He's Taivo, out of Shamish, done. Ava Machmas Mumei Kohen Lemishuach Milchama. He says, if he was a Kohen Gadol was removed because of his mum, he comes before the Meshuach Mechama. Because Meshuach Mechama was a Kohen that encouraged the people to go to war. Don't worry, you're going to win. He was full of encouragement. But he wasn't a Kohen Gadol, he was like a Kohen Hedjit. So therefore, even the Meshuach Kohen Gadol who was removed because of a mum, he's still higher than the Meshuach Mechama. Meshuach Mechama was gone.
What's the Chasson of Meshuach Mechama?
Meshuach Mechama is not a Kohen Gadol, it's a Kohen Hedjit. Meshuach Mechama Kohen was gone. A Meshuach Mechama is before this gone Kohen Gadol. Now, no, but he's there to, right. He's not, right now he's not serving in any position.
It's a Kohen Hedjit.
It's like a Kohen Hedjit, but he's serving in a position. He's there to encourage the people to be ready.
And it's higher than
No, not high.
It's not higher than a Kohen Gadol.
No, but then the other one.
Then the Sgan, yes, because the Sgan has no position right now. He's just a replacement, just in case. Says Sgan, yeah, Sgan Kohen HaMarkel. What's a Markel? My Markel. I'm Rav Chizda. A Markel is Omar Kula. He's a Memuna. He's like a Gabbai over all the Kahanim. And whenever he is Mitzvah, that's to do something in the Mikdash, we have to follow.
gone over all the kahanim.
This gan comes before the Amarkel. Amarkel is the person who's like a gabbai, a memuna over all the kahanim. He tells them what to do. He instructs them what to do. Yes. There was more than one Amarkel.
Marco's
Anyway.
also a kohen?
Yes, sure. Amarkel
So,
couldn't
but what's
give.
the name of a Markel? So it's like a foreign name.
They call it gabbai, but I don't know. It's more than a
Foreign
gabbai.
name.
It's a higher. Amarkel couldn't gizbar. Amarkel comes before the kohen hagizbar. That's memuna on the oitzes, on the store, not just storage, but the money stuff
treasure.
also. Treasure, that's the right word. Gizbar couldn't mishma. A gizbar comes before the head of the mishma.
This
The
is all
mishma.
a redemption.
Yes,
All
yes,
that.
yes. So he's a memuna. The mishma was a memuna, the Reisha mishma, over 24 mishmaris. So that David HaMelech and Shmuel Hanavi had established. Okay, Reish mishma, Reish Beisav. The Reish of one mishmar, that's for a week, comes before the Beisav, which is for that day. Reish Beisav, Kain Hedget. A Reish Beisav, he's still a higher position than a regular Kain. So he's before a Kain Hedget. Sagt die Gemara, Bailo, the Gemara has a shal, linear tuma, if there's a mace mitzvah on the road, Sgan or Meshuch Melchama, you have two people, this guy in Kayin and the Meshuch Melchama. We said Meshuch Melchama is higher, you remember?
Yeah, that's the name of it.
Who should go and deal with the mace mitzvah? A Mazut and Rav Nachman, Kashma coming in, I'll answer you. The time we learned about it says, Sgan Meshuch Melchama, showing Mahalchma that we're going on a journey, we're talking about mace mitzvah, but to show you time the Meshuch Melchama, your time is gone. It's better that the Meshuch Melchama should deal with the mace mitzvah, even though he's in a high position. Because she'im yada by psul b'kain gadol, chas v'shom there'll be a psul in the kain gadol. So at least this gun will be tired. Nichnas gadol m'shabbos tachton. But if you give him the job to deal with the mace mitzvah, and then chas v'shom the kain gadol falls out of position, we have nobody. So that's why Meshul Mechama, even though he's higher, we make him deal with the mace mitzvah.
I thought maybe because a person's higher should do it. Makes sense of this.
No.
It's chus. So
No.
the higher you are, the more you can do.
I hear you. Now, fact, you might have Tanya Mashiach Melchama Ken was gone. But I didn't keep Tanya Yi like Yoisim. Or to if you see him in the water drowning, who comes first? You say first the Mashiach Melchama because he has a position now. Zog the Mishnah Ken with Levi. Levi Yisrael. Yisrael
Why you
Mams.
say the first thing, you need this gun available?
You need this gun available, but Lach Yosei is, since it's not, he doesn't have a position. We're not talking about Tumah here. We're talking about a position. You might be able to save the Kohen, this gun Kohen also. So first deal with the one that has a position now. Okay, Zog the Mishnah, Kohen is before a lady before Yisrael, Mamsa, and Nasim. Nasim Lakem, and Gil Abbott, Meshucha. Zog the Gemara, he must say, when does this order of Kedima happen? If they're all equal in Chachma. I believe how your mamza Talmud Chacham. But what's if the mamza was a Talmud Chacham? The Kohen Gadol, I guess the Kohen Gadol was a Poland Amaretz. So which one comes first? Mamza Talmud Chacham, Kohen Gadol Amaretz. The mamza was a Talmud Chacham comes before the Kohen Gadol was Amaretz. Yeah. Kaidem comes before Levi. Shnam, like it says in the pasuk. Bnei Amram, Aaron. What was Aaron? A Kohen. Moshe given a Levi. Shnei vayibadol Aaron lahakiv. Kodesh hakedoshim. So it says befedish that the Kohenim had the kedusha of the going into the Kodesh hakedoshim, and it says they were first. Levi Kohen Yisrael. Levi comes before Yisrael. Shnam, it says in the pasuk. Be'esahi at that time. Hivda Hashem Hashem Levi to carry the Aron Habris. Who did they give it to? Levi. So you see the Levium are higher in Kedusha than the rest of the Bnei Yisrael. Yisrael Kedul Mamzer. Why? Shazam Yuchas. Yisrael Hat Yichas. A Mamzer is a Shvacha Yichas. Is Einam Yuchas. Mamzer Kedul Nasan. A Mamzer before Nasan. Why? A Nasan is in the Sinim. In Givonim was some they tricked Yeshua. They were going, but they said that they were. They said they were Gadim. Okay, Mamzer Kedwan Nasan. Yes, Zeba Metipik Sheda. Later on, it came out that on Sodom also. We'll talk about it later. A Mamzer comes before Nasan because a Mamzer comes from a Tipik Sheda, from a Yisraelis. A Tipik Sheda. Yisrael, the father, Yisrael, the mother, is both Yisraelis. He comes from the Gibeonim. Nasan came to Ger. A Nasan comes before a Ger. Why? Zeh gadol imanu b'kedusha. A Nasan grew up between the Yidden. So it's more of a Kedusha
like a sandwich.
growing up, right? The Zeh, this Ger, like gadol imanu b'kedusha, he grew up between the Goyim. Ger couldn't have it Meshucha. Why? Because Zeh hay b'chal orah. A Eved is b'chal orah. Zeh loy hay b'chal orah. But this one is not b'chal orah. I have it as in the inclusion of order. He said only when do we say one is before the other? When everyone is equal in Chachma. In fact, where do we know this? It says in the pasuk, Yikara he is so tired. He says mipnimim even more than the gems and the pearls. From a,
What is the pasuk allude to?
so the pasuk, no, it's 45.
40.
Oh, 40. Okay, so I'm going to have to... The Chachmas of Torah is greater than a Kohen Gadol shenichas lefnai v'lefnim. Even greater than a Kohen Gadol who went into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, because a Chachma who has Chachmas of Torah is more chashuv than a Kohen Gadol. Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, it's reasonable to say, the Meshuchah Leger, that an Eved Meshuchah should be before a Ger, not like our Mishnah that a Ger comes before a Ger Meshuchah. The Eved grew in surroundings of Kedusha. The Ger, but the Ger didn't grow up in the surroundings of Kedusha. So, just like the Gemara gave, in a Ger, a Nasan comes before a Ger. You have to say that the reason is this Eved Haychalara was inclusive in the curse of the Zer Hager, but the Ger was not in Bechalara. Shal Talmidov, why does everybody run to marry a Geras? And not everybody comes to run to marry a Shecharis. Zu Mishcheres was included in Aro. The Zu, the Geras was not included in Aro. Zu, the Geras that she watched herself and didn't behave in the princess's way. The Zu, but the Shivcha Stam Shivcha is it doesn't behave. She's half-kept. That's how a Shivcha is. But when it comes to Geras, she obviously she intended to become a Yeris, so she was a Tzanuah, so she was in control of herself. Versus as a Shivcha, she was hefker, she was not in control of herself. Shalom, that's why people run after Yeris versus Shivcha Mishkaris. Shalom, Talmid of Rabbi Elazar ben Tzadik. The students of Rabbi Elazar asked, Rabbi Elazar ben Tzadik asked the Shalom, why does a dog recognize its owner? But a cat doesn't. So he answered back to them, it's a kavachela. The one who eats what the achba ate, he forgets what he learns. Somebody who eats the mouse itself. For sure, Allah's kama, how much more so? It will cause him to forget, and he won't remember his master. Why does everybody chase and rule over the mais? So he answered, because their nature is very bad. What do you see that the nature is bad? Rava says that they bite even into their clothing. That even in the handle of the hoe, they bite into. There are 5 things that cause one to forget his learning. But one who eats from what the achba ate, from what the cat eats, one who eats the heart of a behemoth, one who is accustomed to eating olives, one who drinks the water after the bath, that water that was left over in the bath. The one who washes one foot on top of the other. Even one who places his clothing under his head causes forgetfulness. There are 5 things that bring back the memory of what you had learned. One who eats pas, that's chlamim, bread that was baked on coals. So if he eats the things that are the coals itself, like one who eats an egg that's without salt, one who's accustomed to eating olive oil, the oil. The Pechamim Aslan, the others say what it means is that he warms himself up from the Cham Matzam. Or the pas that has a mixture in the of the coals themselves. What is Be'er Megugalis? Is a be'er that's cooked or roasted a little bit till it becomes soft. Someone who's accustomed to drinking wine, and somebody who drinks the water that's left over from the kneading of the dough. Even one who sticks his finger in salt and eats it. One who's accustomed to eating olive oil. Just like the Zayis causes forgetfulness of 70 years, so Kachshem and Zayis, so to do our oil, Meishiv, brings back the limud of Shalshim Shaman of 70 years. One who's accustomed to drinking wine, the wine and the smell of the psamim make him smart. Made me smart, he says. I'll tell you that's why my melech, one who sticks his finger into salt. One finger. Ketanai says, only achas, one finger, not two. 2 fingers, not 3. Simanach is kmitza. When you bend the finger that's closest to the pinky, so then you're left with 1 on one side of the kmitza finger and 2 on the other side. So you have the middle finger, and you have the middle finger and the thumb, which is not part of it. So this is how a person will remember. Echad achas v'lei shtayim. The second one says shtayim v'lei sholish. And we won't make a mistake to think there's a day that says shalosh v'lei arba. Rashi says, also from here we see that the ribui of melech, too much salt, causes harm to one's memory. Zog the Gemara, I said there are 5 things that make it hard for one to understand the Veiteda. So one who goes under the halter of a camel, how much more so under the camel itself. Or one who goes between 2 camels, or one who goes between 2 women, or a woman who goes between 2 men, or one who goes through a place where there's the bad smell of an avela. One who goes under a bridge where water has not passed under it 40 days. One who eats bread that wasn't fully cooked. One who eats from the spoon that's used to stir the pot. And one who drinks from the stream of water that goes through and one who looks at the maze, gazes at the maze, the face of the maze. Others say even one who reads the letters that stick out of the Matzeva causes hardship for understanding the V'teira. when the Nasi comes into the hall of the yeshiva, everybody stands up for his cover. And they don't sit until he tells them sit. But when they ask Bezdin, which is the second most important person, Nichnas, they make a shura on both sides. Until he sits in his place. And then everybody sits down. When the Chacham comes in, which is the third position, Echad, any person he passes by, that person stands up. Amen. The Echad, and the one that he passes by, of course, Yeshiv. The one he passed by sits, and the next one stands up. Until he sits in his place. The children of Chachamim and the Talmidei Chachamim, in the time when everybody needs them, meaning that Rabban Tzich Lahem could be for Heirah, or they need them for other things. So then, that's what Tzich Lahem means. So Mafsin HaRashiyah, they could pass while the people are sitting on the floor, they could go over their heads. Yatza, if the Talmud or the son of the Chacham went out, let's say that, for his needs, even though he's going to step over them, since he went out with his shoes, so he can come back over the heads. The children of Talmidei Chachamim, that their fathers were appointed as a leader over the tzibur. If the children are shy to understand the dasha, they come in and they sit in front of the fathers and the backs facing the am. But if they don't understand the children, they come in, they sit in front of the fathers, but they face the am. They make them like branches. Cover the father. They attach them to the father like branches of the father. We learned in the Braisa Yotze, if the Talmud or the Bnei of the Chacham went out, let's say, for his needs, so even though he went over the heads of the Am, he goes back in, and it's not a problem. He can, and go back to his place. Papa said, when he went out, only if he went for number one. If he went for Gedalim for number two, he's not allowed to come back. Because he should have examined himself initially, so that he wouldn't have to need to leave. He didn't do that, so he's negligent, and he cannot impose upon others when he returns. Rabbi Yehuda says a person should always accustom himself to relieve himself in the morning and in the evening, so that he won't have to need to distance himself during the daylight hours to find a place to go make number two. So he shouldn't have to go to a faraway place to find a place where he can do number two. B'tznius. Rava said, today, that the world is weak and people are not as healthy as they once were. So then, then he says he can even return after he leaves for number two. Rabbi says that even in the wedding party, we allow the kids to sit as a branch of the father. We give them covered that during the lifetime of their fathers and in the presence of the fathers, that's when this applies. That we let the kids sit there, and we mechaber the kids as a mechaber the parents, and it's a branch of the parents, and we mechaber the kids together with them.